We're going to get on it right now. We are officially recording. Okay, so here's the deal. Everybody who came in and joined this business should have gone through a couple of really basic steps. You should have watched a pre-recorded launch call or a live launch call. If you've had the chance to watch a live one, I highly recommend it. But often you guys are getting sent a pre-recorded launch call with Brittany Hitch's pretty face going over our launch document. That is still completely the same. So everybody who joins this company as a new ambassador is going to go through that same launch document and launch call process. When you are done with your beginner steps that you're getting from your sponsor, you should be hopping on a one-on-one call with your direct sponsor or a sponsor who's in your upline. Okay. When you're on that goal setting call, a couple of you guys, I'm like looking at the different eras of our team on here. A couple of you guys went through different processes. Some of you joined us in the very beginning where you were on a Zoom call. We had a sheet of paper and we were reading you guys stuff off of paper. Other of you have joined when we had some blue goal setting slides for going executive. I'm sure there's been some other little subset systems within there. We are revamping this process coming back from Dallas Convention. Casey and I really dug into some of our leaders who were there, asking them how we can improve and get better, because that's always the goal, especially as an entrepreneur in an industry like this. You always want to be improving everything that you're doing, getting better, and especially when it is in servant leadership towards people who are trusting you to start a business in this industry. And one of the things that Brooke talked to us about is streamlining the way that we are doing goal setting so that we are identifying the up and coming leaders on our team. So what I'm about to do is walk you guys through the new goal setting slides. Casey made these. They're absolutely beautiful. And I am just going to walk through this goal setting call as if you all were my newest ambassador on my team. Now, a lot of this is going to be interactive, right? When you're on a goal setting call with a new person, you're going to be actually talking to them. And so when some of these slides don't, they don't work in a group setting, I will let you know. Okay. So I'm going to pull up these slides on my screen. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody can see that? Perfect. Okay, so these are our new goal setting slides. When you are hopping on a goal setting call with your ambassador, keep in mind you want to do this as soon as possible. When they are getting signed up, you are giving them their different steps. You're having them watch that pre-recorded or live launch call along with doing their document. And then you're hopping on this one-on-one call, preferably within the first 24 to 48 hours after they sign up. Why? Number one, fast start bonuses, right? We don't want to waste any time. We want people to be getting on these calls as soon as possible so that they have ample amount of time to earn those first 3 bonuses within our program here of Builder, Pro, and Executive, totaling $750 in their first full month. Also, people's excitement is at an absolute all-time high within that first week, right? They're excited, their adrenaline's going, they're ready to run. And we want to make sure that we are catching them in that moment and getting them into the systems as soon as possible so that they don't start to feel discouraged or maybe lose interest or anything that can happen over that period of time if we're not working with them. Okay, so that is where we would be at on this goal setting call. We would get on Zoom and I would say, all right, I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so excited to be on this call. I can't wait to get you started. This is our goal setting call. Everybody who signs up as an ambassador on our team and within Q is going to have one of these Zoom calls. The point of this is to go over all of our systems. Know that none of this is going to be on a pop quiz. You're not going to be tested. We will be working one-on-one together the entire time that you're partnered here with Q. The point of this is just to make sure you see where we're going so that you kind of know the steps as we're doing them and you're more familiar. So don't feel like you need to take notes unless you absolutely want to. We're going to go through this over and over again in your individual chat later. With a goal setting call, the things that we ask before people get on here is that number one, they have their 100 PV auto ship. Your 100 PV being on your account is something that you're going to hear very often throughout Q. 100 PV is actually what commission qualifies your account. So it's what apparently you can't talk. It's what makes your account payable. And with our company, we actually recommend that you have your auto ship set between the 1st and the 5th because we do something really cool called weekly pay, meaning as soon as you qualify for a paycheck here, you're going to get that paycheck the following Friday as long as your account is commission qualified. And because we have those weekly paychecks available, I recommend setting your auto ship between the 1st and the 5th so that you get your paychecks as soon as possible. If they don't have their 100 PV auto ship on their account, at this point, this would be when I walked them through that. So I'm actually asking them, do you have that 100 PV auto ship on? If they say no, then we would walk through the process of setting that up and really stressing the importance there. This is also something, though, that is a step I send new ambassadors before I even get on this call. So before I get onto a goal setting call with them, one of my steps that they're getting in their chat is to set up their auto ship on their account. Okay. And then the next thing I say is that the other requirement before we get on this call is to have watched a launch call and to have filled out that launch document. Then I ask them, did they have any questions on the launch call that they watched that I can answer for them? If they say no, then we move on. And I say the first thing that we kind of talk about is what your schedule is going to look like here. I'm really big on giving everybody realistic expectations. And in this industry, the amount of time that you put in pretty directly affects the outcome that you can get out of it. So let's make a plan for what you're going to do each week here. And this is actually them getting out pen and paper and us walking through what their schedule is. Again, this would be an interactive slide, right? Really talking about how many hours each day, on what days, do they have days that are really slammed? Do they have days where they have more time available? You're kind of wanting to get their honest schedule and what that's going to look like for them. Now, as their sponsor, I would write this down. I would make maybe you have a little notebook for everybody who's this personally sponsored on your team, or you have a note section in your phone. But if they're saying to me, well, I work 8 to 5, so really I'm only available from about 6 to 9 in the evenings, I would maybe write that down so that I'm not blowing them up between 8 to 5 in their chats. And I know that we're probably going to be working together more often in the evenings. Okay. Again, remind them that this is not something that they need to fluff for you. We don't want to hear that they're going to work 25 hours when realistically they only have 10, right? We really want to encourage them to think realistically about their schedule. When are they going to be available to work this? After you've kind of sorted that out, you will go to the next slide where we talk about 90-day goals. Okay. And so I would say, awesome. Okay. So now that we have your schedule down, we can really talk about where we're going in those first 90 days. Now we're going to go over getting you to executive in your first 30 to 60 days. That's going to depend on their time clock. But I really love to give people a more long-term goal in their first 90 days so that we can know what we're shooting for in a longer time frame. Everything here is really based on what you can put into it. And these are sort of averages that we have come up with. Now, it's not black and white. There are a lot of people who would defy what these averages say, but I like to give people just a realistic expectation off of what I've seen coming into the industry. And then I would talk about the schedule they gave me. So let's say that I'm on a call with Mary, and Mary told me that she has about 10 hours a week to work in this business. I would say, based off of your schedule, it's looking like a really good 90-day goal for you would be Elite. Elite is $750 a month of a base pay, and you would unlock a $1,500 rank bonus. And I would ask, how do you feel about that? Does that feel like somewhere that you would want to be in 90 days? Or are you thinking that you'd want to go for one of these other promotional ranks? And we would talk about it. And if Mary told me that she was comfortable with Elite, she felt good about that, I would write it down, and that would be our 90-day goal. Okay. If Mary was like, oh, I was really, I really need to make $1,700 a month because right now I'm working part-time and I want to be able to quit my part-time job. So I would love to be bronze. Then I would have the conversation with Mary to say, hey, that's a really attainable goal too. If we can just find a couple more hours a week in your schedule, let's look at your schedule again and figure out, could we maybe add an hour in the morning on Tuesdays, or maybe we do an hour in the evening on Saturdays, right? Really giving them the meat and potatoes of what this is going to take, because we don't want to give people fluffy unicorn dreams. We want to find the up and coming leaders who know exactly what they're going to need to do in order to make that a reality for themselves. I feel like this is very important, you guys, because when you give people a lottery ticket expectation, they are going to come with a lottery ticket work ethic, which means it's sporadic. It's not dedicated. There is no commitment, and they're coming into this with a pipe dream. Okay. We want people to know, hey, bronze is real money, you guys. That's like $1,700 a month that people are bringing in from this business. That takes more time than what the $750 a month at Elite might take. Now, another conversation that you could have if they're like, I just don't have more time, is to remind them that this is a long-term game. And just because we're aiming for Elite in their first 90 days doesn't mean that we won't eventually go bronze, right? You can still go bronze and work 10 hours a week. You just have to make sure that you're having that realistic long-term goal. So maybe instead of them going bronze in their first 90 days, they're aiming to go bronze in their first 6 months, because that is what aligns with the hours they have available here. I would rather people shoot for something over a longer time frame that is realistic in their schedule than set them up with something that they are most likely not going to achieve and then become discouraged with. Okay, so use these two slides, the scheduling slide and the 90-day goal, to really talk through what their availability is going to be and how this is going to fit into their schedule, so that we're bringing people in with solid timeframes and goals associated with that, to keep people encouraged and to have your people have a better chance at reaching what they're wanting to come into here for. After that, we would talk specifically about hitting executive. And on this slide, I would say, okay, so now that we kind of have those longer term goals planned out, let's talk about your first 30 days here. This would be the slide that I would explain. Your first 30 days is not your first 30 days. Okay, let's say that she signed up yesterday. I would explain your executive time clock starts the day that you sign up. You have the remainder of that month and then the full month after that. So if Mary signed up yesterday, she would have until the end of October to go fast start executive. And I would explain that. I would tell her her exact time frame. I would make sure that that is written down on her launch document so that she knows that is her period of time she has to hit executive and earn her $750 for doing so. Then I would explain what executive is. So executive is the third promotional level in our company. When you hit executive, you have 1,500 in volume between two legs, which is around 15 orders. Now, this is a time that you would talk to them about whether or not they have done network marketing before. If you have someone who's never done network marketing, they are going to have no idea what you're talking about when you start throwing terms like volume and OV and all of these things at them. Okay. Someone who has maybe done network marketing before, they might have a better concept of what that means, but I still always try to break it down in numbers of orders. I would tell them to go builder, which is our very first promotion here. It is 3 people, about 3 orders. To go pro, it's about 6 orders. And then to go executive, it is about 15 orders. But the very first thing that we are going to focus on is getting you 2 personally sponsored ambassadors. You guys, use body language. When you're talking to people about this, I always do this on the screen. I want them to know that we are working in bite-sized goals Yes, we are striving for those 15 orders in their executive time clock, but that's not what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on that bite-sized goal first of getting their 2 personally sponsored ambassadors. These 2 people are specifically people who are wanting to come in and work the business. Customers are fabulous, and we're still going to earn commission and getting those people with wonderful products in their hands. But our very first goal in striving towards executive is 2 personally sponsored ambassadors, which would be people specifically signing up to work the business. Okay. And then I would ask if they had any questions. I don't go into a ton of details on breaking down executive and making charts and stuff like that, because again, you guys, we want to simplify it. They're coming in, we're going to help them get their 2 people. And then when they get their 2 people, we're going to help those people get their 2 people. And we're going to continue to expand on this process as they learn and grow more with Q. I always ask at the end of every single slide, do you have any questions here? Okay, I'm like a broken record during a goal setting call because I say that literally on every single slide. I want them to ask all of their questions. This should be super interactive with your new ambassador. Then you can review their 90-day goal again if you feel like you need to. Then we talk about their Fab 5 call. And so around this time, I would say, now we're going to go over the systems of how we're actually going to make those goals happen. One of the really fabulous systems that we use here are our presentations, similar to the presentation that you watched, right? The person that you're talking to should have seen a presentation or a recorded presentation, so they know what we're talking about when we're saying presentation, right? They've already been in the systems before we are even telling them what the systems are, because they've watched one of these presentations. So I refer them back to that. A Fab 5 call is exactly like the call that you watched. It's a really fast, about 25-minute presentation. We go over what is Q, a little bit on the products, and why it's a really great business to partner with. This is going to be a presentation specifically for your people, friends, family, people who are on your list of 10 to 20. I have my people make a list before we get on this call. If you don't do that, you can work with them on giving them instructions on a list when you're here. It's about 10 to 20 people that we're going to strive to invite, but it doesn't matter who shows up on the call. We just want to invite everyone. You're always going to schedule the Fab 5 call on this call if you haven't done it before. I know some people schedule those Fab 5 calls as soon as they sign up, which is great too. But if you haven't scheduled a Fab 5 call yet, it is at this point that you would schedule that call with your new ambassador. And a disclaimer for anybody who's watching this, if you have not had a Fab 5 call, please message your sponsor right now and set one up for them to do with you. So we would set up their Fab 5 call, and I say, typically we want to do this in your first 7 days. And I physically get out my phone and my calendar, and I ask them, I just did this today with someone. I said, okay, so I know that you said your schedule on the weekends is really busy, but how about Tuesday? What are you doing Tuesday evening around 7 p.m. your time? And I wait until they tell me. And the person that I did this with today said, like next Tuesday, like in 4 days. And I said, yes, we want to make sure that we're doing this in your first week. We want to take advantage of all the extra time that you have in this month to go Fast Start Executive. And you don't have to stress about anything because I'm going to do this presentation for you. We are just professional Zoom inviters. So that's what we're going to focus on doing the rest of the week between now and Tuesday. Does Tuesday work for you? And most of the time they'll say yes, or you'll play around with schedules to figure out what time's going to work for them. In my experience, I typically try to do 7 or 8 p.m. in whatever time zone they're in. That tends to be kind of a golden time. It's after dinner, but before bedtime. But some people are going to have very different schedules. So remember that we're trying to work around schedules as much as possible, especially if they have a large group of people that will need a certain time. Then I would explain how we're inviting them, right? So with your Fab Five call, we already have your list of people, and I'm going to help you with these messages and basically tell you exactly what to say. We want it to be authentic. So if anything that I ever tell you doesn't sound like you, make sure that you tweak it to fit your personality, because we want to be genuine in our messages to people. But we are going to send voice clips, or we're going to call them, or we're going to talk to them in person. Now, again, typically at this point, you will know whether or not someone's done network marketing before. If they've done work in this industry, I ask, when you were doing this before, were you sending a lot of written messages, or did you do voice memos? I will tell you, most of the time, nobody's done voice memos. Most people have been sending copy and pasted messages. And so I explain why we send voice clips. I say, that was me too at my last company. I sent a lot of copy and pasted messages, especially in the beginning. Realistically, it's just not as effective anymore. And so we really encourage you to send voice memos as often as possible, because it's just more authentic. People can hear your voice. They hear you saying their name. They hear your excitement in your message, and they know that you didn't just copy and paste that to 75 other people. So we'll practice this together in your builder chat. We'll go back and forth. You're going to get all your bad pancakes out with me, and I will help you figure out what's going to sound the best. When you feel comfortable, we're going to start sending this out to the people who are on your list and more people that we're thinking of over the next few days. I always ask them, I don't know how to take that off of my screen. Looks like, there we go. Okay. So I always ask people how they feel about that, right? Because again, if you have hesitations of any kind, you want to be getting them out on this call when you're talking face to face. So I'll say, how do you feel about that? Do you feel comfortable? Did you have any questions? And if they say no, I say, awesome. So after we get off this call, we have a couple other things that we'll do, but we will practice these messages together. Now we go over our system, okay? Now this is a lot of words on the screen, you guys. It's because, again, we want to tell them everything that we're doing, but stress that they do not have to remember all of this, okay? This is not going to be a pop quiz at the end. We're going to walk them through. There's a lot of mentorship that happens on our team, and they will be taught as they're walking through these systems what to do. So the systems that we use here, you already learned about on your launch call, because Brittany actually went over this. So this might be a little bit of repetitive information, but we just like to make sure that you really know what you're headed into. That way we can kind of talk through any questions you might have. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to peak interest. What it means when we're talking about piquing interest is we want to get people interested in what we're talking about. Typically with this company, we really run off of curiosity marketing, which means we're talking about what we're doing, but we're not quite giving all the details because we want people to ask us questions, right? Think about those cliffhanger movies that you watch, where at the end of the movie, it answers none of your questions. Like the movie just ends, and for the next week, you're thinking, oh my gosh, well, what happened to this person? And I wonder how that ended. And I wonder what that person ended up doing, right? Those are the best movies. And that is the way that we want to run our business here. We want to give people enough information to where they're thinking, what the heck is Sarah doing? But they don't really know, so they have to ask. When you are piquing interest in people, this is going to be done in many ways. On social media is a huge one. You also can be doing this in person, right? Carrying around a product or taking a product that you have with you. But the main thing that we're going to talk about today on the next slide or two is your peak post, which is your very first social media content post that we're going to put up to start getting people interested in what you're doing here. Once we've piqued people's interest, we're going to really stress using third-party tools, okay? The biggest thing that I want you guys to talk to your people about on these calls is that they are not the expert. Okay. When people are interested in more information, we always want to encourage them to use third-party tools. So let's say that they've put their peak post up and someone commented saying, hey, what are you doing? I'm going to tell them to send a message and say, hey, I saw your comment on my post. I'm so excited. I just partnered with this new up and coming hemp and health company, right? We have so many messages for them to use. They'll send a message. And when the person responds saying they're interested, we will want to get them third-party information, which would be a live opportunity call, possibly their Fab Five. If they can't make a live call, a pre-recorded opportunity call, Brittany or Francesca's compensation plan video, or if they're just interested in products, it would be product info sheets, right? All of these options do not involve them having to word vomit on their potentials about information, okay? What we want to avoid is new people sending novel length text messages about why Q Sciences is so great and Mark Wilson going to multiple Super Bowls. Okay, well, that's what we want to avoid. We want to make it simple for people. So explain what third-party tools are, those 4 things that I just talked about, and a quick overview of how they would use them. I would explain, typically the most popular thing that we're going to do is invite people to a live opportunity call. If they can't make the live call, we're going to ask, hey, no worries. I know life is super busy. Would a recorded version work better for your schedule? If they say yes, you want to qualify their time, okay? Qualifying their time means you ask, do you have 30 minutes to check out some information right now? Or do you have 10 minutes to check out this quick video if I sent it to you right now? If the person says yes, they're going to send the third-party tool. If the person says no, we're going to ask what time works best for them. So as an example, if I was asking someone if they could come to a live opportunity call and they said, actually, I work that night, I'd be like, hey, no worries. I know life is super busy. I actually have a recorded version. Would that work better for your schedule? If they said yes, I'd be like, awesome. Do you have like 30 minutes to check out some information right now? Actually, no, I'm really busy. I'm in carpool pickup line. Okay, no worries. What time works better for you this evening? Well, I'm home about 6. Okay, cool. So then I would set an alarm in my phone to help me stay organized, and I would follow up at 6. Hey, it's 6 o'clock. Is now still a good time for you to watch this video? If they say yes, I say, awesome. Here's these videos. I personally explain what they are. And then I say, let's chat about your questions afterwards. And 30 minutes later, I check back in, okay? Now, we would continue talking about systems. Now, you don't have to go into all of that detail in this launch goal setting call if you don't want to. Base it off your person, but just give them the basics of what a third-party tool is. Then we would explain 3-way chats. So 3-way chats is one of the really powerful tools that we use here for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is going to get people accurate information. The people that you have on these calls right now are brand stinking new, you guys. They do not know what they're doing yet, just like all of us did not know what the heck we were doing when we first started. 3-way chats are really powerful because it's going to get their potentials the correct information. It's also going to give them the opportunity to learn while they earn, okay? Because when they're putting people into 3-way conversations, they're watching their direct mentor lead that conversation from start to finish. And the whole time they're watching that, they're learning over and over again exactly what to say, how to answer questions, and the proper flow of a conversation. So it is a really powerful tool for everybody involved. And I always explain that on these calls. I want people to know that a 3-way chat is not a condescending way of me trying to control their business. It is a way that I'm trying to help get all their potentials, information, and start earning them money right away, while also teaching them how to duplicate this system for their own team that they're going to have someday. Okay. Now, I always tell people with 3-way chats, my recommendation is just to be really honest and sometimes even dumb yourself down a little bit. I usually tell people, if you have someone that says, yeah, I'd love some information, I would say, hey, I'm so excited to get you more info. I'm still really new myself. Is it okay if I plug my friend Mandy into this chat with us? She's been doing this way longer than me and she's helping train me right now. I just want to make sure you get all the right answers to your questions. Most of the time, people are going to say, yes, sure. And then all your new ambassador is responsible for is starting that conversation and pinning you guys together with proper edification. Okay. People outside of network marketing do not know what edifying means. We have to explain this. The easiest way to explain edifying is to brag on your mentor, right? Brag and connect, meaning you want people to know a little bit about them. There's an example script right here, and you want them to feel encouraged of why you're connecting them to that person, right? You have to talk to my friend Casey. Not only is she a stay-at-home mama like you, she has a little boy and one on the way, but she is literally killing it here in this company. She's already like top 40 in the whole company. She's usually super busy, but if I could snag a little bit of her time, is that okay? And when you're introducing, you re-edify. Hey, this is my friend Casey that I was telling you about, the one who's top 40 in our company already. Casey, this is my friend Angela. She watched the video or she liked a post, right? Connect and introduce. And we want to walk them through that. There's example scripts throughout this entire slide deck. There's also example scripts in Q Mafia for them. Again, asking at the end of every slide, did you have any questions here? Then we go on to talk about social media. Let's get social. Social media don'ts. Again, oftentimes you're talking to one of two categories: people who have done network marketing before or have never done network marketing. Both of these people likely need to be refreshed on how Q is different on social media. Okay. Someone who's never done network marketing before probably isn't doing reels. They probably have no idea how to do a post or what to say or what to share. They probably haven't done a live, right? They have a lot less social media knowledge, typically because they're just using social media for fun, not for business. So we need to walk them through that. Someone who has done network marketing before, likely, in my experience, is doing social media in a way that we want to kind of train them away from. So we want to go over the don'ts, right? Don't share the name of the company publicly. I say this is not a skeezy thing. It really is just us wanting to have conversations with people. When you're sharing your name publicly, and I use myself as an example, I say, I did this for 3 years. I'm making fun of myself. But if you say it publicly all the time, people don't have to have any conversation with you before they make up their opinion on whether or not they're going to do it or try it. If you have people have conversations with you and you take it to a private message, what you're doing is allowing them to really get all of the correct information and make their opinion based off of that conversation instead of just jumping to conclusions because they saw a name in a post. Okay. So we're not saying Q Sciences, Q Sciences, Q Sciences. I usually refer to our company as an up and coming hemp and health company. Right? And use yourself. Like, what do you do in this situation? I'm always trying to give examples of how I run my business and what I do to give them examples of what I have done so far and how it's worked for me, but that might look differently for you. Then I say, we also want to stay away. And I usually have some kind of item with me. And I say, we also want to stay away from this. Okay. I make fun of myself and I say, I did this for 3 years, but we're not going to do that here. And I explain why. Typically for me, I always give the example of the guy at the kiosk in the mall who's going to offer to straighten your hair for free. I say, have you ever been to the mall and you walk past the kiosk with the guy who you know is going to offer to straighten your hair for free? And immediately, what does every girl do? We're like on the phone, trying not to make eye contact because we know they're trying to sell us something. Okay. People feel very similarly when we're posing with a bunch of product labels and sharing stock photos on our social media. It is the same reaction that we used to have as kids when commercials came on the TV. As soon as we knew it was a commercial, we got up, we weren't paying attention, and we went on to go do something else. So rather than sharing the product label with the company name publicly, if we're going to talk about products, we want to do it in a way that feels almost subliminal, right? It's not the main focus of the post, but it is in the post to catch people's eye. You can give them examples of this. I kind of talk about pictures that I've taken in the past where it's of me and my kids, but I'm holding a water bottle that has my drink in it. Or it's a pretty picture that I've taken of my own product in my own cup, and it doesn't have a bunch of packaging on it. I'm always explaining why in these situations as well, because I want people to know the reason behind it, not that it's just some rule, right? Tacky graphics. These are pretty outdated, but I always say we don't do the come join my team graphics on social media. Okay. And then lastly, we go over not copying other people's content, right? Q Sciences really runs heavily off of authenticity. Okay. Authenticity meaning everyone's not sharing the same post on the same day at the same time 900 times over. We want your content to be about you and be authentic to you. So if you ever see someone's post that you're just really inspired by, take it as inspiration, but make it fit your life. Don't copy word for word what they said. And if you ever need help, you can always hop into your builder chat and say, hey, I really like this post. Can you help me figure out a way to make it fit me? Again, asking, did you have any questions here? If they say no, we talk about the do's of social media. Now, at this point, again, with interacting with your person, I typically try to ask them about where they're at on social media. Are they posting regularly? Are they comfortable on social media? Does this feel like an area they're going to be stepping out of their comfort zone with? I kind of assess the situation before I go over everything that's on here. And I just want to know, like, are they someone that's already posting really regularly? If so, I can dive a little bit more into depth on things. Or are they someone that hasn't posted on social media in 6 months? Okay. Assess the situation and kind of gauge it from there so that you can meet them where they're at to help them more successfully grow their business on social media. Also, I always direct people to Erin DeCure on our team. I don't know if she's on this video right now, but she's a master Instagrammer, and I always direct people to her. I also usually try and give them a couple examples of people's profiles that are really great to follow to get some inspiration and ideas of what looks good on social media, what is effective sharing on social media, etc. So then we go over the do's. We do want you to share regularly. Okay. Sharing regularly does not mean that you're posting about your business 7 times a day and everything is about your business. It just means that you're present on social media. And I explain the importance of this. Social media is one of the ways that people are going to get to know you. It's a really large misconception that network marketing is about products or it's about a business, but actually it's about neither. People could go buy products from anyone, any store, any company, any website. They could go join anyone's network marketing team. They're a dime a dozen on social media, but they're going to buy products from you and they're going to join your network marketing team because there's something about you that they connect with or they respect. You've built trust with them. They think you're funny, right? They trust your opinions. They've been following you for 6 years. They've known you since you were 5, right? It's actually about you. So we want to share regularly about you, your life, what you have for dinner, what you found in Target Dollar Spot, right? I tend to give examples. A lot of times, if someone has come into this industry never doing network marketing before, they have no idea what we mean when we say add value on social media. Okay. So typically what I say on this slide, depending on where they're at, right? I've assessed the situation. I say social media is one of those places that takes time to learn everything. It is so vast in what you can do on there and all of the different tips and tricks. So just know that you're going to learn more and more and more the longer that we go, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So the basics here are try and share once a day. Have a presence on social media. Step outside your comfort zone. Show your face on your stories, right? Put up a post. Maybe you're going to go live and talk about your business, but you want to be regular on social media so that people are getting the opportunity to know you so they can make that connection and be interested in what you're talking about with your business. We want to share 80% about you and 20% about the business. Sometimes I will use the cake analogy. When you bake a cake, the cake is actually the largest portion of what you're doing. You are the cake. The frosting and the sprinkles is what we're layering on top, talking about your business, the income that you're building here, the products that are really changing your health. But we want to keep the 80-20 balance, right? A huge chunk of frosting on your cake sounds like a great idea until you're doing it and you realize, wow, I really overdid it on the frosting, right? We want to have the proper 80-20 balance. Then again, I'm asking, did you have any questions? So let's talk about homework. I call this homework. Most people have a pretty solid definition of doing homework each night when they get home from school. So I say, this is your homework. I'm going to give you 2 things that we're going to focus on after this call. Your peak post is the very first one. This is going to be your first post on social media where we're kind of announcing what you're doing. Now, some people do this differently. I know Casey doesn't necessarily always have people do a peak post right away. I do. So please just keep in mind, everybody is going to run their business differently. This might not be the best fit for how you're doing this with people. This is how I do it though. So I talk about the fact that we're going to do a peak post. I actually give them an example. I tend to try and give them an example of someone who kind of is relatively similar to them, right? And then I also have some peak post prompting questions. If you guys need those, I can send them to you. I think Casey uses them too. It's just a couple of questions to kind of give them an idea of what to say so that they don't feel like, where do I even start, right? People get overwhelmed. So what led you here, right? You can talk through this. What are a couple of reasons why you feel confident about this company? What is this going to do for your family? I want you to just write me a rough draft. Okay. This could be the roughest rough draft you've ever done written. It is okay. I will help you fine tooth comb it. Okay. So what we want to do by tomorrow is write out a rough draft of what you want to say. And when you're done, send it into your builder chat. And together we will go through your post and figure out what the final draft is going to be before we put it up on social media tomorrow. Okay. Keywords: tomorrow and together. They were going to put this post up tomorrow and you guys are going to work on it together. Okay. Make sure to stress those things. And then I typically don't go into a ton more detail on this because I want them to write the rough draft. And then I'll explain that we want to attach a picture. We want to put this on Facebook and Instagram, and it needs to be public. And we want to put hashtags with Instagram. But those are things that I talk about with them in their builder chat. Again, asking, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you could get this post to be by tomorrow? Do you have any questions? Then we talk about their why. This, you guys, is so important. Okay. This is something that I feel like we actually kind of moved away from a little bit over the last couple of months when things were just getting really busy, right? I want to go back, and Casey too, to really figuring out why people are here. Okay. Why are they even doing this? Why are they spending this hour with me on a goal setting call? What do they want to come out of this? Are they trying to quit their job? Do they need an extra $500 a month? Are they trying to take their family to Disneyland? Do they want to retire their husband from law enforcement? Like, what is the reason that they're here? They're going to fill this out on their launch document. A lot of times people will skip over this, you guys. I think someone's kid might have their computer. A lot of times people will skip over this because it feels cheesy, because it is a little bit cheesy, but it's also really important. I tend to explain to people, this is going to be what gets you through the phases of time when you're not motivated to do your work, right? You will not always be motivated. The most successful people in this industry have figured out how to be committed even when their motivation has disappeared, right? Or it's kind of lingered down a little bit. We want to know what your why is so that you can remind yourself when you're in the lower parts before you've come back up that you're going to keep going. You're not going to quit. And this is why you're not going to quit. Okay. So talk to people about this. It's also really nice from like a perspective of a sponsor to know why people are there, to be encouraging, right? Network marketing is a roller coaster. There are slow seasons, there are busy seasons, there are seasons where you're like, ugh, the last thing I want to do is get in these chats today. And being able to be there for them as a friend, as a mentor, as a person, and encourage them specifically for their situation, that is really helpful, and it cultivates community. Okay. Community is so important on your team. So know why your people are there. And then final tips. Okay. So I cannot talk today. I paraphrase a ton on the last slide of these goal setting calls. Casey has put some really great notes in here. You can literally just read these. Stay in phase one. I explain this. Again, there are some terms that people who have never done network marketing are going to have no stinking clue what you're talking about. If you say stay in phase one, they're going to be like, there's phases. And when do I go in phase two? What's happening? What is a phase? Like nobody knows. So explain what phase one means. And I typically just tell them, this means we're always sending new messages. We're always making new connections. We're always pouring into our own business first. And then we're helping the other people on our team. And even when our team grows really, really large, I use myself as an example. Even when my team grew really, really large, I now am very extra intentional about still taking time every single day to work my own business. I also very bluntly tell people are going to quit. When you bring people into this industry, and I say Jake Spencer's exact quote, I tell people, I just said it today, one of my favorite things that I have heard since joining this company came directly from Jake Spencer. And he said, 8 out of 10 people who join your business are going to quit. So you are looking for the 2, right? I tell people we're looking for the few, not the many, but we have to go through the many to find the few. And so staying in phase one is really, really important so that you always have new people coming into your business and you're being able to identify those really awesome up and coming leaders. Then I talk about the importance of edifying people. Again, we've talked about this on previous slides, but just explaining what that is. Never being the expert, that's making sure that they're using those third-party tools, they're using the 3-way chats. And then important things, Q News every Monday. I tell them what time this is. I also talk to them about the fact that if they absolutely can't make it, it stays on that Facebook page. They can watch it later. And then convention in Salt Lake City. Right now, right, we just had convention. So I would talk about, I said today, the people on my team whose businesses are blowing up right now, 9 days into the month, they are all the people who were at Dallas with me last week. So write this in your calendar right now, February 3rd through the 5th. We're going to be in Salt Lake City for our next convention. Tickets are not out yet, but as soon as they are, you're going to want to get one. And then lastly, for me, I typically talk about realistic time commitments. So I say, this is not a try it out for 30 days thing. I always tell everyone that you're going to want to give this a go for at least 6 to 12 months. So have that realistic time frame in your mind, and I explain why. I talk about the fact that I was not someone who came into this business and exploded quickly. It took me 6 months to have a month where I made $1,000 in a month. It took me 3 months to even get 10 people on my team the first time that I was in network marketing. So just have that realistic time frame. Don't quit before you get started. I also talk about the importance of consistency. I say word for word, don't fall off the face of the earth next week. The people who are consistent and show up every single day, whatever that schedule is for them, it doesn't have to be 40 hours a week, but if you're working an hour a day, be consistent in showing up an hour a day. Everybody always wants to know what the secret sauce is to being successful in network marketing. It's consistency. The people who continue to show up over and over and over again until they get their desired results. And then lastly, I talk about stepping outside their comfort zone. On my old slides, I had my favorite quote, which is, if you want something, oh shoot, now what is my favorite quote? Now I'm forgetting it. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm blanking on words. If you want something you've never had, thank you, Angela. I see her mouth moving. If you want something you've never had, you have to be willing to do something you've never done. That actually is my favorite quote, even though I can't remember it to save my life, apparently. But I tell people that. I say, listen, I did not do live videos and reels and post pictures of myself before I started in this industry. I had to learn how to do all of those things because I wanted to be successful. And in order to be successful, I had to be willing to try new things that were going to get me there. So just know that the majority of network marketing is going to be you learning how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is this industry. And then typically I close out asking if they have any questions on topics that we didn't talk about. Again, I would assess how are they feeling, and I would talk to them about their homework, right? Reminding them the very first thing we're going to do is you are going to write your rough draft and send it to me in your builder chat so that we can get that posted tomorrow. And then we hop off and I immediately go into their chat, their builder chat, and I make sure that they have those prompting questions for their post. And I make sure that I am sending them an example of a peak post so that they can have an idea of what this is going to look like or sound like, or maybe they just need some inspiration. Okay, and we go from there. I'm going to open the chat really fast. Stop sharing real quick. Yes, these slides are going to be available for everyone to use. I believe Casey has already put them into the Q Mafia page. If she has not, then we will make sure that they're in there tonight. Convention tickets are live in our back office right now, you guys. I stand corrected. I'm sorry. And also, if you filled out a sheet at convention, they will charge you for them, whatever credit card you put on the sheet. I wish that I was small enough to fit in your back pocket. Thank you. Okay, does anybody else have any questions before we hop off? Having to do with the goal setting slides. Perfect. Okay, so this was recorded. I will put it in the Q Mafia page as soon as we hop off. And these will be the new goal setting. If you are like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start with this. No.
Hey, Mandy.
Hi, yes.
Hi. So just listening to all this stuff, should we